Welcome to an Impact Wrestling one day before Hard to Kill. Now, let's be honest here. Was this a good show setting up Hard to Kill? Wasn't bad. It was a little better than AEW when it came to the audio because AEW's audio on Dynamite was bad yesterday. It was spotty. It was not working very well. So their audio was better even though it is pre-recorded. Let's just be what it is. So it was alright. Camera work was so-so. It had its moments, but generally it's not always very good. They still go too much like this, on and off. So, there you go. They still got that issue where they want to try and make it so dramatic, and it's not always working. I still think the overhead shots are still very good. I like the overhead shots that they're doing. Even AEW is realizing overhead shots give a little more better dramatic effect than it is just zooming in like this, or like this. So hopefully they'll keep it up. Now, what do we get in the very... I gotta make it very clear when it came to the Zoom call between the two Joshes and the Bully Ray, Josh Alexander and Josh Matthews. It did what it needed to do. It's a setup for the Full Metal Mayhem match. Now, I know people are going to say that Josh didn't really sound that great. And let's make it very clear. When he was talking about how Bully Ray was in his head, and he was in his head, and Bully Ray setting it up saying, I can tell that you are really screwed up, that I am in your head, that your eye twitches, and it's going like this, and I am in your head. Yes. Bully Ray's setup was very good. Now, is Josh is good. Josh has always been not the greatest talker. He's just not, that's not his strong suit. He's a better wrestler than he is a talker. This is average. This is Bully Ray. This is great talkers. This is Bully Ray. This is average. He's like somewhere around here. He hovers between average to sometimes below average and very rarely above average. That's just how Josh is. But that's how many wrestlers are these days. They're not really good talkers. They care more about the in-ring product. Let's say what it is. They care about either being high impact or high technique like a Josh Alexander, or high flying in high spots like what was going on with a Mike Bailey or like a Sammy Guevara or a who else would really be good? Wheeler Yuta or anyone else that's really high flying, like Top Flight. They're heavy high flyers, but not all the time they're very good talkers. Now, when it comes to Josh, he's just not a great talker. He's an okay, sometimes he can hit that above average, and it sounds okay to good. But usually he's average or a little below average, and that's just how it is for many wrestlers these days. I'm not bashing him, but I'm not praising him either. I'm seeing for what he is. So that's what happened. Now, what did we get between the Brian Myers and Heath match? Now, last week, I was not fond of when it came to Matt Cardona, and I believe it was Chris Sabin who had their match. And I was not fond of it. I am not fond of these tag teams before a special match or a tag title match. They do singles. I truly believe it's so badly played out. And yes, this is a fatal four-way between, you got Motor City Machine Guns, you got the Bullet Club, you got the major players, and then you got Heath and Rhino. Yes, I understand. They got to do something in between their pay-per-view or their Impact Plus shows. I understand it. But it doesn't have to be so damn formulaic. They could be doing something else. They're going to have them face other people who are not involved in the damn match and try to build a story around it, but they never barely do it. In this case with Impact Wrestling, and I know many people say they always bring someone. I've heard Fightful Select, and the guy who runs Fightful Select, I've seen him. And he had talked about Impact Wrestling. I think it was like a month or so ago. I heard him talking about it. And he praised Impact Wrestling, particularly that they're always bringing new people in and they're always having fresh matches. There's a major problem what I have what he said. Now, I'm not going against him, his channel, or his website. He is a wrestling reporter more than I am. I'm just a podcaster. I'm a humble podcaster with a basic opinion. But what he said, I don't 100% agree. Yes, they are bringing in more people, and I do agree with him. It is good to see more people coming into Impact Wrestling, coming in and out, and you always keep things fresh. but there's also a double-edged sword to that. Because if that person does see it, let's say the guy from Fightful Select does see this, how you doing? I ain't disrespecting you. I do respect you, but I don't fully agree. Impact does not have enough people to make the storylines work correctly. Either they're not fully signed, or they are signed. In other words, not fully signed, they're not signed for very long. They are signed, but then either they're signed very briefly for maybe a year, if they're very rarely multi-year, or while they're signed, the storylines are not that good. They don't build the storylines very well. I really do believe a lot of times they miss a lot on their storylines. So, in a sense, you're wasting people that may have a 3-month agreement, or maybe a 9-month contract, or a 9-month agreement, or a year agreement. You kind of waste them because you don't have very good storylines. And then in many cases, they float for weeks upon months until you decide during your tapings, which should be more live than taped, that you need to do something different. So for me personally, I just don't agree. I just don't. But it is what it is. Now, next match, Rosemary versus Savannah Evans. Now, Ty was taken out earlier. Rosemary got pissed off and wanted to rip the head off of Savannah Evans. This isn't something that hasn't happened before, and they are about to have the match at Hard to Kill. Here's the thing. You see them destroy them after the match, which is fine. But they need more women for the tag matches. This is one of the times I wish they bring in more women from the outside, because just like the guy from Fightful Select said, it is good to see them bring in more people, even if it's not very long, and they have fresh matches. But when it comes to the women's tag, in other words, the Knockouts Tag Champions, they got no damn competition. This is where it makes no sense with Impact Wrestling. You bring in more men, to a certain extent, to do matches with the guys on and off. But when it comes to the women's tag division, you do almost nothing. Nothing. Now they have to do the Freebird rule. Guys, to do the Freebird rule is a bit of a cop-out. Because in many cases, when you do that, that means you don't have that many people to work in your division. Look what happened with New Day. Most of the time, for a certain amount of time, they only work with the Usos for almost a whole year. They had to do the Freebird rule to switch out Big E for a Xavier Woods, or Kofi for Big E or Xavier. They had to do that because there was almost no one in the tag division at one point. Yes, they had a good tag division, but they went through everyone so many times. They had to do the same thing with the Usos and New Day multiple times because there was nobody there. So the Freebird rule is a cop-out because they got no one there. This is where they should be. I'm just saying. Moving on. Let's get to the match that was surprising. Speedball Mark. Here's the thing. You see Anthony Green. He's a good wrestler. I'm interested in seeing them do something with him. This is the second match I've seen him, and he's gotten his ass handed to him, and this time it's by Speedball Mike Bailey. Understand, the match was good, and it is leading into the pit fight that's going to happen at Hard to Kill, because is it Hard to Kill, or is it the next week afterward? I can't remember. It's either next week after Hard to Kill or at Hard to Kill. I can't remember which one. It probably is next week. But no, I think it's a pit fight at Hard to Kill. I could be wrong. But this guy can wrestle. He has a good look. But he's now jobbed twice. And I don't feel anything from him. Now, I'm not saying that they got to throw basically the kitchen sink at him to make him important. But I would like to see more backstage segments with him. In-ring segments with him. Maybe a vid pack of him. I haven't seen anything. If they show something on BTI, I haven't watched it because I don't always remember to watch BTI or don't have the time to watch BTI. So they have to do something in the Impact Zone with him. And I haven't seen it. So I feel empty, honestly. But it's not taking anything away from the match. It was the match I liked the most. Now, let me give it to you like this. Taylor Wilde as a witch is interesting. I kind of wish she would look more like someone who did Wickham. Now, how the hell do I know what Wickham means? If you don't know what Wickham means, and I think I've said this once before on the video when it came to Isla Dawn, Wickham is part of neo-paganism. Neo-paganism is following the older type of how witches and warlocks act, following the certain rules and regulations, well, certain rules of how things used to be hundreds of years ago. How do I know that? I'm not going to tell you. I'm not one, but trust me, I learned it through a situation. That would, if I told you, you say, wait a minute, what? Could you repeat that again? I would tell you what happened, and you would not believe me if I told you. Because if you heard what I would say about it, you would say, dude, really? Yeah. It was very rare, unusual, and if you haven't noticed, I'm a very unusual type of person. There you go. It doesn't mean I'm a part of it. I'm not. Even if I have learned about it, doesn't mean I'm not a part of it. Now, I do wish she had been given more Wickham stuff. Something that would make it more legitimate, because just lighting candles or something doesn't always fit the gimmick. You need to be a little bit more into, not saying to follow it, but do a little more research to make it look more realistic. Look at Isla Dawn. She has done a little bit more than what basically Taylor Wilde is doing. I believe more of an Isla Dawn than I do Taylor Wilde. Not just because it's only a few times I've seen it. She just doesn't have the look of someone who is a witch. She just doesn't. Now, let's go to the vid pack of Mickie James and Jordynne Grace. I know I didn't say anything about the vid pack for Mickie James last week. I didn't, because I wanted to leave it to see if there was anything new they were going to show. Technically speaking, no. They're still showing the same stuff they did with Jordynne Grace and did with Mickie James. Yes, they did maybe add just slightly more to their actual talking, but pretty much the vid packs are basically the same. Now, does it make me feel something? Yes, this is something that can be very important. But I'm going to be honest here. I don't believe Mickey's going to job, but if they do, they have tried to make it as important as possible for her to kill. So I will give it to them in this respect. And when it comes to Jordynne Grace, she's not one of the greatest talkers and shows a lot of emotion properly, but I will say at least she did relay what she believed was right for this situation. I will. Now, let's see. What else do we have? That's pretty much... Oh, 2 segments left before the last match of the night. Now, we get the situation. Excuse me. When we see that Gail Kim is interviewed, and Gail said, and they already said this early in the show, that Scott D'Amore is out. Because he got laid out for a table, he is basically... he's just not functional. He's indefinitely out until he recovers. And now they're going to get somebody else to take his place. Well, they were thinking and wondering who's going to take his place. They thought it was going to be Gail Kim. But Gail said, no, I got too much to do. But at Hard to Kill, Anthem had somebody in mind. And you will meet that person at Hard to Kill. General manager type of thing. Oh, please, don't let it be who I think it is. At this point, I have not checked for spoilers. I don't want to know. So if you know, please don't tell me. I want to stay surprised. But there's only a few people I think they may throw at that, and I don't believe it'll be the wisest thing to do. One would be Tommy Dreamer, and I don't want to see Tommy there because that has happened before, where Tommy had to take temporary responsibility of Impact. I don't want to see him in that position again. I don't. I wanted to see Tommy as a heel. And they could still turn heel, but I don't think he will. So I don't want to see him. Another person could be Raven, maybe because of what happened last year when it came to Slammiversary. Maybe they may ask Raven to come back and become the general manager. Maybe having him there will be a change of pace. But to be honest, I don't know if a Raven would be the wisest person to be in that position. Now, I don't know who they'll put in there. I don't think Eric Bischoff would do it. Definitely don't think Hulk Hogan will be there. I hope neither one of them. I don't know who they would stick in that type of position. But do I believe they'll stick someone as a former Impact star? Yes. I don't think they'll stick someone brand new. I just don't. I just don't think they're going to trust anyone in that respect. Unless it's somebody who's really big, who maybe had left WWE that we haven't noticed. Maybe they'll stick that person there. But it's going to have to be someone very important, very special. Other than that, I don't think it's going to be someone very special. Now, I could be wrong. It could be someone I'm completely missing that it could be what? It could be Christopher Daniels. But do I believe Chris is going to be good at that position? I don't know. Do I believe Frank Kazarian could do that position? I don't know. Do I believe Devon would do that? No, Devon is not involved in wrestling anymore. He's still working with WWE as far as I know. I don't know who they put there, but it's got to be someone new, someone that we well established that we know, and someone special that would really start changing Impact for 2023. That's what I'm hoping for. Do I believe it will be? No. But I'm hoping. The 6-man tag. Let me give it to you like this. Was it a good match? Yes. Was it good to see that Joe Henry gets pinned by Moose? That's obvious. That's setting up for the Digital Media Championship match. But the thing is that when we saw the lights dim in the Thunder, it's obvious it's PCO. So it's obvious that once Gretchen and Eddie does their match, PCO is going to come out. Because that sounds like PCO. That's obvious. Do I care? After all these months not seeing PCO? Unless PCO was hurt. This is a big question. If PCO was hurt, maybe he was. Or maybe they just didn't know what to do with him. Like they've done before. Like what happened with Lady Frost, who got hurt just before they just sent her home because they didn't know what to do with her. If he was out because they didn't have anything to do with him, I'm not really feeling it. Now, if he was hurt, that's something entirely different. Actually hurt, and they didn't know, they couldn't really work with him, and now he's healed up and he's ready. Hopefully it'll do something with him. But honestly, at this point, I don't feel anything. But it's going to depend what they're going to do with him after Hard to Kill. I'm just saying. Finally, the last thing we're talking about. The thing that I care about. No more Sami. No, better. Sami no more. When it comes to the design, calling out Sami. We get Sami in the ring once the lights go down and come back up. And he's holding the bat. He has his hat on. And pretty much he's facing down at Diener. And Diener's saying, if you want to join us, you have to be torn down. Do you know about the story of Samson? He was the most strongest man in the world. But once he lost his hair, he became weak. Are you willing to become weak? Are you willing to shed who you were? And Sami pretty much says, so I got to become weak to join you. Pulls off the hat, gives the bat to Khan, sits down in a chair, and as Diener's telling him, let it happen, feel it, yes, breathing heavy, like he's getting horny. And you see Angel just clipping off some of his hair. Good. But what made it great, for me personally, was two things. One, the fans were just, well, at least what few fans were cheering. And this is one of the problems with the venues that Impact have been going to. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to say this as a small rant. Impact's venues suck. I'm sorry. Them having to dim the lights in the damn arena almost all the time because the arena just isn't full to capacity or nearly full. Or these arenas are so small no one wants to be seen because that's what's going on here. If they don't need to worry about the arenas being heavily packed, why are they lighting so low? Why the hell did they keep the lights so freaking low? Why? You would think that you're packing your venue, fully packing it. You should be lighting it enough so people could see and feel immersed like they know the place is packed. That Impact means something. But no, the lighting is always so damn dim you can't see a damn thing. And you can hear. I'm sorry. I don't care they don't keep enough mics around the entire ring. I don't care if they don't keep it in a venue. You barely hear the people. When you do, most of the time this can pops with the same woman screaming. Don't anyone tell me that isn't the same woman and the same voice they used 12 years ago. Because it is. So they need to change the damn venues because it sucks. I don't care. They keep doing these tapings back to back to back. One, they need to start doing more live. Two, they need bigger venues than what they have. Come on. They got to change up those venues. They're too damn small. They're not lighting them up enough. And when they do light them up, they make the lights too bright. You can't see a damn thing. And they try to compensate because they don't know how to handle the cameras. But that's my small rant. But simply put, the other part I liked was when Dina grabbed the rechargeable clippers. He's about to go to Sammy's head. Sami grabs it. Dina thought he was about to start something. He grabs it himself and starts shaving the sucker off. Shaving his hair off. Shaving what bits is off. And in the end, when it's all said and done, I think I got a shot of him in my face with his hands in his face. He becomes Callahan. Not Sami. Not the Death Machine. Just Callahan. Like Dina. So what do we get here? We get him joining the design. The question is, what would they do with him? How would they book this? They have an opportunity here to do something different with the design with Dina and Sami Callahan. They could make this interesting, where going after Hard to Kill, you can go after the X Division title. You can go after the tag titles. The only thing left that we'll be needing is Josh Alexander and Dina getting the world title, Sami getting the X Division title, and Connor and Alan Angels getting the tag titles. And let the design hold all the titles for a little while and see where you can lead it until Sami destroys it. That's what I think would be the best way to make it work and make it at least something a little bit new, even though it is what Violence by Design tried to do and almost did. I know, but still, it will be something. I'm just saying. And I hope you enjoyed the Zanes. You please give me a comment below. I will be doing Hard to Kill. I will not be doing SmackDown. I will not be doing Rampage. If anything happens, I'll probably check it out. And then maybe I'll do a review on Saturday and Sunday of it. Peace.